Happy Easter, everyone. Mother Jamie here. And this is the biggest feast day of the year, which is why I've got on bunny ears. I have on bunny ears to remind us all that it's time to party. Woo! Wait a minute. You're saying I was not raised that way. Well, and neither was I, quite frankly. You know, even though we're taught that Easter is the biggest feast day of the year, even bigger than Christmas, it's a little hard to get that, especially when you're raised in a culture. I don't know if you were like I was, but even if you went to a church that wasn't that dressy, everyone kind of dressed up a little more for Easter Sunday. You know, men kind of dusted off their ties. And if you were a kid like me who wanted nothing other than to wear shorts each and every day, my mother was wrestling me into a dress and even put a straw hat on my head one year, and I hated it. So, you know, Easter's supposed to be a feast day, but it doesn't feel much like other kinds of feasts, or like Christmas parties or birthday parties or other things that are a whole lot more fun if it means kind of dressing up and getting your picture taken. There are of course, the Easter basket and candy and all that. That's great. But still, it all kind of hinges on this resurrection, and that's a little hard to understand. So for me, and maybe you're like me, even though I knew in my head Easter was the biggest feast day of the year, I didn't quite feel it or get it or understand it that way. Well, we have an opportunity to get it this year, which is why I have the bunny ears on, and not only because I am so far behind in getting a haircut. Now, put simply, the tomb is empty. Jesus isn't there, and neither are we. So we need to get out there and party. All right, let me break that down for you biblically. Looking at the first 10 verses of the 28th chapter of Matthew, Mary and Mary Magdalene go to the tomb, and there is a great earthquake. And the angel comes bright white, and the guards are so frightened they are like dead men. But the women are told, as every angel says throughout the Bible, do not be afraid. Jesus is not here. He is risen. He is going ahead to Galilee. There you will see him. And then they do see him. Greetings. Hey, how's it going? And Jesus reiterates, do not be afraid. And the women are filled with great joy. And they are told to pass along the word that they will see him in the Galilee. So, Jesus is risen. He is not in the tomb. And furthermore, he is ahead of us. Wherever we go, he's already there. So we need to get on with it. But it follows, don't forget that earthquake. Now, we can gloss over that because we know where the story's going. But the earthquake is a frightening disruption. There is a frightening disruption before this good news is conveyed and understood. And so it is with us. A frightening disruption. A way for us. They go to the tomb expecting to anoint the body, and the tomb is empty, and they are frightened, and they are told, he is not here. We started the year 2020 expecting to go about our business as we always do. We in the church world expected to go to church like we always do, and there was a disruption. And so we have the opportunity to hear and experience in a new way. He is not here. He has risen. It's okay that the church is empty, but he's gone ahead of you out in the world. We can experience the church as for this 1 year, we can see our sacred space and think of it as being like that empty tomb, that place where we go expecting to do the rituals we fall back on because that's what our faith has taught us, and we can't because it's empty. But do not be afraid. Like Mary and Mary Magdalene, we can be filled with great joy as we go and herald the news. He is not here. He is risen. He has gone ahead of us. The risen Christ cannot be contained, cannot be entombed. And neither can we as followers of Jesus. So it's time to get out there and party. And we can see this happening over and over again in history, how the good news of Jesus Christ has spread like wildfire through means that were already there in new and surprising ways. Despite the fact that the early church spread among slaves and among those who had to practice their faith in Jesus in hiding with secret signals and handshakes and, symbols, through the technology of the Romans in the Appian Way, in their incredibly advanced roads, in the trade routes that existed throughout the Roman Empire, the word about Jesus the Christ spread like wildfire. In the 16th century, when the Roman Catholic Church in Western Europe was getting just a bit corrupt, little too much power, little too much abuse of that power, you had Martin Luther writing his 95 Theses. And because he wrote in Latin, the lingua franca, and because of the Gutenberg printing press, his 95 Theses was able to be disseminated. It was able to go viral throughout Europe. And within 6 weeks, the word had gotten out. Sippy. Happy Easter, Sippy. So, Martin Luther's 95 Theses went viral. So the technology, the invention of the printing press, as opposed to, hand copy, the laborious copying that had gone on before, enabled the word to spread, helping to ignite the Protestant Reformation throughout Europe. And now, in our time, when we are sheltering in place, when we cannot gather in the usual ways, when our means of being with each other has been disrupted, we, like those who were the recipients of a hot off the press, that's where we get that, by the way, and why we refer to journalism as the press, because of this very printing press. Why, despite the fact that the enslaved and disenfranchised of the Roman Empire were able to spread the good news as rapidly as they could, the reason why is because Jesus goes ahead of us. He will meet you in Galilee. He will meet you. He is already there. So we don't have to lament that the usual means by which we expect to find our holy moments, our holy liturgies, our holy places are at this particular time places we can't go, and because our usual practices have been disrupted is no reason to think that our faith has been compromised in any way. In fact, it enables us to experience it like the first Christians, like medieval Christians, like those who, in the midst of a frightening, disruptive earthquake, are given the news that he isn't here. The tomb is empty. And you don't have to be afraid. And like Mary and Mary Magdalene, we can be filled with great joy and spread that. So it's time to party. Now, what do I mean by party? You get to define party for yourself. Partying is whatever brings joy to your life, whatever shares love with others, whatever is the life-giving movement of the Spirit for you, so that you can celebrate, dance, sing, whatever it is you do to rejoice, have fun, and know that your life is defined by the good news that the tomb is empty. The tomb is empty. The bandwidth is full. The tomb is empty. The Spirit is all around. The tomb is empty. No matter where we go, no matter what happens, no matter what lies in store for us in the weeks and months to come, Jesus, the risen Christ, has gone ahead of us and will meet us there. Happy Easter, everyone. Bye-bye.